In this video, we'll be going over how to set up automatic email searches for your client, as well as, filtering through the different criteria on the MLS to be able to forward these lists to your client as well. So let's get started. So at the top bar, you have the search bar, and that's what we're going to be clicking to be able to get to the overall searches that you might need to go through for your client. So once you select the search bar, the drop-down menu will be something like the residential properties, multifamily properties, residential rentals, and lots and acres are going to be the primary things that you end up using, 99% of the things you end up using as an agent. So we're going to be going over essentially just the residential and multifamily section. So first for the residential. On this page, you have all the criteria that you can put in to search the MLS for both active properties, properties in attorney review, closed properties under contract, so all of that. And we're going to be going through the different criteria for you to be able to, search the properties for your client. You can also go through this process to, do comps and find out how much properties are worth, which we'll be covering in the next video. So for right now, we're going to be looking at the properties that are like primarily active in attorney review, so that you would normally send your client before you go out on appointments. When you get to this page, the active coming soon and active attorney review are already selected. Depending on what you want to send your client, you can either select more or less from this predetermined list. I typically only go for the active and active coming soon, unless we are really searching for a property and the client is desperately looking for anything, in which case I might add attorney review because, on the off chance that my client wants to see it, it might be a lot harder to, take that property or get an offer accepted on that property in that coming stage. And I wouldn't want to get my client's hopes up at that point. So after you have those two things selected, you can go over to the map search. If you have a specific area that you're looking to, do a circumference or radius around, you can enter it through here. This section is primarily used for if you're trying to comp a property, because if you enter the property address here, you can select the, the radius that it goes around, whether it's quarter mile, half mile, full mile. If a client wants to be in a specific neighborhood, I think that there's easier ways to be able to do that, and I'll go later down this list. But for right now, we'll just assume this is going to be primarily used for comping a property, which again, we'll get to in another video. You can go through this section first. This is the county, so you can fill the county that your client wants to be in, the area that they would want to be in, like the town name and whatnot. Complex or subdivision development. This is all good if the client has a very specific need of what they want to, a specific community that they want to be a part of. Section will have that as well. Style of home you can select here, like if they have a specific preference to Cape Cods or colonials or anything like that, you can enter it there and it'll do that. Restrictions, you can have specific restrictions and criteria that will include or exclude properties from the list, and you can go through this list and check that out. Also, if there's a specific model name within a community, like a specific type of home, you could have any community in any area have a specific name for a property of a particular square footage and a particular model and layout of the house. So if they do know what they want to do, again, you can fill that in. I would say that that's, again, primarily used for comping a property. Most people are not going to be that particular and that picky when looking for a home. The level, this is the amount of levels that the property has, whether they want like a ranch as a 1 level, a colonial or Cape Cod as 2 level, 3 levels, ground floor, second floor, like any specific criteria that you want to fill in there, you can. But again, you're probably not going to go that far in the search. And then we're going to go over to the right-hand side. This is where you can put the price for the property, or the price range rather, that the client is looking to go for. So just so that you know, and you can't really see it because of where the picture is blocking at the bottom of the video, but they'll have a specific number of matches. Right here, it shows the live count, and you'll be able to see that update as you do criteria. Right now, we have nothing selected in terms of like the county or area or anything like that. So it's just going to, have the complete MLS search, which is currently showing 2,175, but that's too much to actually go through right now. So we'll get to that in a minute. But let's say you have a client that it's looking in like a price range of 250 or below. It already has the 3 significant figures for zeros on the side. So you don't have to input all those zeros when looking for a property. So if they're looking for something 250,000 and below, you would just simply type 250 and it populates the other 3 zeros in that search. Now this just shows all the properties at 250,000. It doesn't show and less or more than 250. So to be able to designate that, it actually shows you what you need to do at the top when you rest your mouse over it. But I'll go over that as well. So if you want 250,000 and less, so anything below 250,000, you would put minus, and that'll show all the properties that are $250,000 and below. And in Middlesex County, in the Central Jersey MLS rather, we went from 2,100 listings to 338. But again, that's going to be too many to show your client. So maybe you have more specific criteria. Let's just pretend that we're looking for and just to show you really quick, let's say you wanted to do anything 250 and above, you would just simply write 250 and the plus, and that's going to give you all the options for 250 and above. And I'll just show you really quick. That ends up being 1,800 listings for it. So that's, again, way too many properties to be able to comb through. So how we do specific price ranges, which is mostly what you're going to be able to send to your clients, is I'll show you. And let's just assume we have a client that has a specific budget between 300 and 400,000, or 300 and 350 we'll start with. So to do 300 to 350, you will put the subtraction and then 350. So it actually only does the properties between 300,000 and 350, which Middlesex County currently we have 282. Now, if you're looking for your client, I'm sure that they have more specific criteria, which they're probably going to have a minimum number of bedrooms and bathrooms that they want as well. So we're just going to assume that they need at least 3 bedrooms for this property, but they are okay with more. And it's going to be the same thing that you would do with the price. You populate any part of the Central Jersey MLS the same in that regard. So if they want at least 3 bedrooms, then you would do 3 plus, and that'll show you everything with 3 plus bedrooms. Total baths is, again, different than full baths and half baths. If they don't have a preference to how many full baths versus half baths, you could also just do, we'll just assume that they're looking for 3 total baths. So that could include 3 full baths, but more likely it's 2 full baths and like a half bathroom, and that rounds it up to 3 bathrooms total. So now we have a criteria, and we're still going to have too many properties to be able to comb through. So it's definitely important to get the information from your client of like what area and county that they want to be in. I would say primarily to go to the area first. If you click the search bar, it's going to have all these different areas, but you can also just type them in. So let's say we're looking in East Brunswick. You type in East Brunswick, and it'll populate it. So if you do know that the town code is 1204, you can always just type that in, but typing out East Brunswick is just as easy in my opinion. So now you actually see that for East Brunswick between 300 and 350, with the total bedrooms of 3 or more and total bathrooms of 3 and more, you only have 2 listings that are active, and then it populated this. So we have about 72 that are currently active. So let's go back. We'll do 350, 300 to 350. And once you hit the back button, it usually resets all the numbers, which is annoying. 3 total bedrooms. We'll do 3 plus total bathrooms. 3 plus. Let's see how many properties in East Brunswick we have. Yes, only 2 properties in East Brunswick. So if you have a client that's looking, under this specific criteria, that, there's not many properties in this area, you might want to either just send them these 2 properties or also give them a call to see if they'll expand their list. So we can go back to the criteria and has it saved. So let's say that they're open to other towns as well. We can always add, say, South River, Spotswood, Monroe. Some towns have 2 different codes that you put in. So Monroe is a fairly large town, so it's going to have 2 different codes that you need to put in, which is fine. Results. So out of those towns, we still only have 5 listings, but it's a lot better than the 2 that we had before. And so let's say that these are the only towns that your client's currently interested in, and that really is their price range or budget that they're looking to do right now. If you were ready to move forward with actually combing through these properties and sending them over to the client, you would go ahead and press results at the bottom. Again, we have 5 listings that pop up, and before you go ahead sending these to your clients, if there's only 5 or even if there's 10 or 20, you definitely want to take the time to look through these listings further. You can either click the link here that'll bring you to the MLS page and whatnot, and just make sure that it still fits your client's criteria, because we just did a pretty broad overview. Like if they were looking for other things, or if they didn't like a specific layout, or if they were looking for a more updated kitchen, you would definitely want to look through the pictures before sending this over to them. If you're willing to do that, like any additional time that you can spend helping your clients go through the list and narrowing down the list, you could do. But let's just assume that you looked through these properties and all 5 of these properties were okay to send to your client. You can either check them off individually, like let's say you only like the first 2 and the last 2. You can leave out the 3rd one, and you can now have the option to email over to them to print them. So again, this is going to be useful for when you're printing out listing sheets, when you're looking up properties, to be able to bring the listing sheet on the appointment with you. If you were moving forward and saying like, okay, we're setting these appointments and whatnot, you can click the print button. It'll prompt up, give you the option to actually print out those listing sheets. But for right now, we're just going to simply do emails. So I'm just going to assume that we're going to send all of these to the client. So I have all of them selected, and you can select and deselect all of them by the checkbox at the top. And let's say you're ready to email just this specific list to your client. You would hit email. 2, you have to have their contact information saved in order to email to them, or to actually set up an automatic email. But right here, you can actually click create, their contact information. I'm not going to bother doing this now, but the information that's needed is first and last name as well as email address. So when you do plug that in, then it will give you the option to save. Like let's just say it's Jason Rivera, Jason Rivera at remax.net. I can then save this person, and I already have it saved. I already have my own contact information saved because I like to email these to myself as well. But when you do have that person's name saved, you can just start typing their name, and it'll come up with their contact information. And you have to create a subject line too. So do properties for Jason. The email body, which is please click the link below to see the properties that are available within your specific criteria. And you might want to go ahead and actually send this to yourself at least once so you know what it looks like from the consumer standpoint. When this does end up sending to you, it comes with a link that you click to be able to get to these properties and whatnot. So definitely test this out and send this to yourself so you know what to expect, or you know from what your client's perspective what they're getting, so that you can tweak the message, to be a little bit more helpful if need be. And then you can just go ahead and send, or you can click preview. And the preview is just going to take you to a different link that's going to show you what the email looks like. But we're going to assume, and you know what, we'll do the criteria a little bit more in depth. Let's just say the client has a much larger budget and they're not even specifically concerned with the price. Although you can do this with the filters that we had on the last one. I'm just going to make up that they don't have a specific price, but they're looking in East Brunswick, and the specific section that they want is like Colonial Oaks. So you have a client that doesn't really care about the price point that much, which I know from experience that this is going to be around $500,000-$600,000 in this particular section anyway, but they have money, they have like the ability to renovate a property. So they're just concerned with the property actually coming up on the market. Let me just make sure that we have something here. No listings found here. That being said, some of this section or complex or subdevelopment, it doesn't necessarily pull correctly because the agent has to actually put the name of the subdivision in, which some don't. Oh, maybe it'll be in section. Oh, it still has this criteria. So in this particular list, we have 17 homes that are available in Colonial Oaks at this time. And you can see in the section in subdivision, it actually has Colonial Oaks. So you can definitely search within these particular sections. Again, let's just say I wanted to send everything over to my client. They're like, I'm looking specifically in Colonial Oaks. Maybe you wouldn't comb through these properties and necessarily like take properties off the list. So maybe you want to just send them all 17. But down here, this is, again, we're going to be showing how to set these up with automatic emails. So anytime a property gets listed in Colonial Oaks, it'll send directly over to them without you having to be a part of that. So it's going to save the criteria that we had before again, and you can always tweak this if you need be. But we're just looking in Colonial Oaks in East Brunswick for at least 3 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms, which I know all of these properties are anyway. And again, you can go through and let's just say the style that they wanted was colonial. And let's say that they're actually looking for something a little bit more upgraded. So they're looking at, essentially like 500,000 plus in this price point. So they have seven to choose from. What you want to do if you want to send over all these properties and then anything that pops up 500,000 and above in Colonial Oaks in East Brunswick to be able to automatically send to them, you select all of the listings and you go to the tab that says save. And then you go to new auto email. Again, like before, you absolutely need to save their contact information before actually emailing to them. So it has like your specific contacts that you can send people to. So I'll just imagine I'm sending it to one of my clients. So I can just say new listings in Colonial Oaks. And anytime a property gets listed, it's going to send to them, along with the initial email with all of these properties for them. So it'll send in a welcome email for that client and just say, welcome to the portal. The portal is just like the link that they click on that is going to bring them to all the properties. They can like the properties, make comments about the property, say when they're interested about the property. So this just essentially sends them that link. The reoccurring email, so anytime a new property gets listed, it's just going to say one or more new or updated listings match your search criteria. And again, you can edit this. You can send the welcome email exactly how it is. You can cut parts out. You can add parts to it. The recurring email, you can make it a little bit more personal, or you can, add different verbiage to it. But I think that it's usually good enough. You can always edit your signature here as well, to update your contact information if you need. Enable concierge mode is like that option just allows the properties to get sent to you first. So before it sends to your client, like if you wanted to comb through them, you can comb through the properties and then have it sent out to them after you've approved or disapproved of them. But again, that might be, if you had a very specific client that was like, I'm not looking for any property that's like this, and you just couldn't, find that within the search criteria, or there's just too many properties that get listed where it's just like you don't want to send them junk properties that they might not be interested in. So you can actually schedule to do ASAP. So emails send as soon as possible. So as soon as like the property gets listed, as long as it's like uploaded in the system and it fits their criteria, it's going to send out immediately. Or if you know that, a lot of these emails get lost in, during the day, like people don't have enough time to check their email throughout the day, and like they might get, they might miss a property that you end up sending, but you don't want them to miss a property. Then I would ask the client first, when's the best time to actually send these emails? Like do you review your emails first thing in the morning, or is it okay if I send them in the evening? And then you can just check off which days you want sent first thing in the morning or later on in the evening, and you can actually customize that. I'm just going to assume my client wants everything first thing in the morning. Then when you're ready, you can hit the save button and it'll send this list of properties, and then it'll continue to send them properties within that criteria in the future. And that's essentially it. That's all you need to know in terms of how to set up automatic emails for your clients, how to create searches and email it over to them. Again, it can be a lot more complex. Like you can go through the list and add, do they want a basement or not? Do they want a dining room? All this information is for you to be able to ask your client what they're actually looking for, and then send them over what's available. And this might be a very eye-opening experience for your client, because they might think that there's a lot more properties than are actually available, and you can show them essentially like, you know what, I know you're looking for this specific criteria, but there's only 2 properties on the market. They've both been on the market for a long time. And again, like they're missing some of the key attributes that you're looking for in a home. So that might be the conversation you have right before you say, I think it's time to expand your criteria, or you might be, are you willing to wait? Because like these types of properties don't come up on the market every day. And like you can go through the past list of properties to be able to show them that, if that's the case. Maybe they're looking to actually expand their price point. Maybe they were looking to be on the lower end of their budget, and then just realize that, hey, listen, like I might have to add another $25,000 to the price point in order to get what I want. But like, this is how you go about doing that kind of stuff. And you don't know what's available until you actually look. So that'll conclude this video. This is, again, like you could go way more in detail about this. You can look up a bunch of different things for these properties, set a very, very specific criteria if you want. Again, it's not usually that necessary unless you have a very particular client. But the most common things are going to be the area, like which town your client's looking to be in, the price point, and then the bedrooms, bathrooms, maybe garage spaces, half baths, basements, dining rooms, stuff like that. That's going to be the majority of your searches. That will conclude this video. In the next video, we're going to be going over how to comp properties, how to look properties that have already sold and whatnot, and then how to value those properties as well, which is a very crucial tool for you to know in order to not only value a property that maybe your client wants to put an offer in on, but then this is also going to be the tool that you use to find out how much a listing is worth. So if you're going on a listing appointment and you're looking to find out how much this particular property should be listed for, this is that same process. So we'll go over that in the next video.